Welcome to Football Game Plan's Power Rankings here on the Game Plus Network. I am Emory Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Week 6 in the NFL was a crazy one, which only prepares us for a wild Week 7. And let's get things kicked off by taking a look at whether or not the craziness shook up our NFL Power Rankings for Week 7. We saw two things regarding the Miami Dolphins last weekend. One, the return of Fitzmagic as Ryan Fitzpatrick was put into the game to provide an offensive spark. And two, the Dolphins almost get their first victory of the season against the Washington Redskins, but the two-point conversion failed at the end. Head coach Brian Flores has already said that Josh Rosen will be the starter at QB next weekend, but one thing's for sure, neither Rosen or Fitzpatrick has made their case for them to be the guy in Miami next season. It's still shocking to me, at least, that the Cincinnati Bengals are 0-6 on the year. They've played well enough to win at least 2 games so far this season. It's been a cascade of inconsistency for the Bengals as neither the offense, defense, or special teams have been on the same page on the same day, which is necessary for a team to get a win in the NFL. Looking at teams 26 through 30, and the Atlanta Falcons have just flat out been bad defensively this season. They have the offense in place, but defensively, they have to get much better in order for their fortunes to change. Washington was able to get their first victory of the season last week against the Dolphins, and it was no surprise that it coincided with running back Adrian Peterson's best day of the season, going over 100 yards in the process. Tampa Bay quarterback Jameis Winston's 6th turnover day cost the Bucs an opportunity to get a crucial division win before their bye week against Carolina. He can't continue to do that if he wants to be the long-term answer in Tampa Bay. The return of Sam Darnold couldn't have gone any better for the New York Jets as they got their first win of the season against the Dallas Cowboys. This week, we'll see if that offense can build on its success as they play host to the New England Patriots, who provide a tougher challenge defensively for the Jets offense. Another team that's slowly dropping in our rankings are the Los Angeles Chargers. Right now, the Bolts aren't providing the same level of shock to opponents as their offense has sputtered the last couple of weeks. Now, after 2 crucial AFC losses to the Broncos and Steelers, now is the time for LA to go on one of its patented runs to turn their season around. Jumping back into our rankings, and the New York Giants played a great game against the New England Patriots last week for 3.5 quarters at least. Granted, they were depleted offensively, but still find a way to compete, which is all you can ask for if you're head coach Pat Shurmur. Jacksonville couldn't muster up any Minshew magic on offense last weekend against the New Orleans Saints, and now find themselves on a 2-game losing streak. Cleveland let a 20-6 lead disappear against the Seattle Seahawks and continue to forget that running back Nick Chubb is their key to success as they get away from the run a little bit too early for my liking. In Denver last weekend, we saw the Tennessee Titans pull Marcus Mariota in favor of backup Ryan Tannehill. Not to say Mariota and the offense has struggled would be putting it rather nicely, but to also say that Ryan Tannehill gives you a better chance to win would be doing you a disservice from an analyst perspective. Tennessee is in bad shape right now at the quarterback position, and that's something that they have to get fixed moving forward. Meanwhile, the Pittsburgh Steelers defense has played much better since bringing in Minkah Fitzpatrick from the Miami Dolphins. Also, the play of rookie linebacker Devin Bush has been impactful the last 2 games, picking off 2 passes and returning a fumble for a touchdown. He also leads the league with 4 fumble recoveries. Quietly, the Steelers have won 2 out of their last 3 games as they head into their bye week and come out on the other side of it facing the Miami Dolphins. This could be a team primed to make a run. Moving on to teams 16 through 20, and the Denver Broncos have won back-to-back games, getting great effort from their defense in the process. Now, while their offense is still working its way through inconsistencies, you like the way that they are heading in the right direction. Detroit suffers a controversial loss on Monday night to the Green Bay Packers and have now lost 2 straight games. I think they have to find a way to get their running game going. And the Chicago Bears are coming off their bye week and have to jump right into a monumental game against the New Orleans Saints. So it'll be a big test to see where their offense is at the moment. The Arizona Cardinals have won 2 straight games, and it's looking like their offense is starting to click. Yes, I know the Falcons' defense isn't the best right now, but it's still promising to see quarterback Kyler Murray, as a rookie, start to develop that confidence within the scheme and start to subsequently have success out there on the field. The Oakland Raiders, like the Chicago Bears, are coming off of a bye week and quickly jump into a big-time matchup against a very good opponent in the Green Bay Packers. The one thing you can't argue about the Raiders is their effort. They've played hard all 5 games, and that effort can definitely go a long way. And it's a big reason why they currently sit with a winning record on the season. Here are teams 11 through 15, and the Indianapolis Colts will be coming off their bye week, and they will also be looking to keep the good momentum going as they head into a huge AFC South matchup against the Houston Texans. Both Philadelphia and Dallas sit at 3-3 on the season and will meet up on Sunday Night Football for the lead in the NFC East. Quietly, the Los Angeles Rams continue to sputter offensively, and it has cost them at least 2 games in my opinion. Quarterback Jared Goff has to play much better in order for their fortunes to turn around, especially when you consider that they aren't getting the same level of productivity from their running game. And if Kirk Cousins can bottle up that same level of aggressiveness that he played with last week against the Philadelphia Eagles and carry that throughout the rest of the season, the Vikings will put themselves firmly in the conversation on being a Super Bowl contender coming out of the NFC. As we enter the top 10, the Carolina Panthers and Baltimore Ravens find themselves back in the mix after stringing together a couple of nice performances. The Panthers have won 4 straight games and look to get Cam Newton back healthy, and we'll see how that situation moves forward as the season progresses. And the Packers sit at 5-1 on the season and are already 3-0 in division play. The Buffalo Bills hit the field this week off their bye against the Miami Dolphins, and it'll be a great opportunity for the Bills offense to flex its proverbial muscles. And if they do and start to balance out their football team and not just be a strong defensive team, they can become a serious contender in the AFC. Now, falling to number 7 are the Kansas City Chiefs, who have lost 2 straight games at home. Defensively, they have to find ways to get to the quarterback and get key stops, but on the offensive side of the ball, they haven't been their usual hyper-productive self. I think they need a big win in a hurry. And here is the top 5 for Week 7 in our NFL Power Rankings. Obviously, there's no change at the top with the New England Patriots, but the Houston Texans worked themselves back into the top 5, and it's time to start talking about Shaun Watson as an MVP candidate. He's just a fantastic player to watch as he brings his best each and every week. Russell Wilson, for a stretch of that game against the Browns last week, called his own plays and led a touchdown drive as a result. Best believe that he's already in the MVP discussion, maybe even the leader of the pack. And the 49ers just keep on trucking 5-0 on the season and setting up a matchup this week against the Washington Redskins, where they have a great chance to go to 6-0 on the year. New Orleans is 4-0 under Teddy Bridgewater, 5-1 on the season, and look like the most consistent team in the NFC. And even though offensively it doesn't look pretty, it's still pretty effective for the New England Patriots on offense. But make no mistake about it, this is a great defense that's leading the way for Bill Belichick. And we'll take a quick commercial break and be back with more Football Game Plan's Power Rankings. Football Game Plan is brought to you in part by Ninth and Lux. Visit the website ninethandlux.com and check out the clothing gallery. Do You Music with featured artist IW in his latest album, Season 2. You can check that out on iTunes as well as doyoumusic.com. Nesby Phipps, art, life, entertainment. NesbyPhipps.com. Grind It Out Fitness. Visit the website grinditoutfitness.com and download the app.
I'm Alex Marinoni, offering you Football Game Plan's best bets for Week 7. Let's start things off in Buffalo that has the Miami Dolphins set to take on the Bills. The Dolphins have been very bad and took a bye week against one of the worst teams in the league just to cover their spread. They also only covered because they went to Ryan Fitzpatrick to get them back into the game. With head coach Brian Flores announcing that Rosen will be the starter, I don't see how the Dolphins score a single point in Buffalo. The Bills' defense has been among the best in the NFL, and especially at home. Seems like a walk in the park with Miami coming to town. The Bills' offense has been better than expected as of late, but they still aren't a team that screams 40-plus points. With the over-under set at 39.5, I expect that the under will hit in this game. In the battle of struggling offenses, we have the Chargers heading to Tennessee to take on the Titans. The Titans are coming off a week where they just benched their starting quarterback in Marcus Mariota in favor of Ryan Tannehill. For the Chargers, they just dropped a home game to a third-string quarterback. Philip Rivers at times looked overmatched, and the defense continues to struggle against the run. This will be the 3rd game with Melvin Gordon back, and with a tough secondary in Tennessee, this is the game where the Chargers should look to get the running game going. As for the Titans, they're going to look to take the pressure off their quarterbacks, so expect a heavy usage of Derrick Henry. With this game plan in mind, it should lead to a low-scoring affair. With an over-under set at 40.5, the under is the best bet here. An interesting matchup in Seattle sees the Ravens going up against the Seahawks. This game features 2 very dynamic quarterbacks in Lamar Jackson and Russell Wilson, who are both capable of putting up a lot of points. Lamar Jackson and the Ravens offense has had to make up for a lot of the defense's deficiencies, and in a game with an MVP favorite in Russell Wilson should tell you that they are going to need to score a lot to keep up. Wilson has been everything for the Seahawks offense and doesn't have the Legion of Boom anymore to shut down opposing quarterbacks. Between both quarterbacks' dual threat arsenal, we could expect a high scoring game. With the over-under set at 50.5, the best bet here would be to take the over. The red-hot New Orleans Saints will have their hands full as they go up against the Chicago Bears on the road. The Bears are coming off a bye week, but may still be without Mitch Trubisky. Chase Daniel has proved to be a viable fill-in, but this will be the offense's biggest test against the Saints defense that might be just as good. For the Saints, Teddy Bridgewater isn't going to make the explosive throws down the field, but does a nice job in managing the game. He will look to make the right throws and rely on the rushing attack of Alvin Kamara and Latavius Murray. Both teams will look to limit their mistakes and play safe football. With two teams that rely on their defense to make the plays, you can expect a low-scoring affair. With the over-under set at 39, the best bet here is to take the under. In a pivotal matchup, we see the Philadelphia Eagles heading to Dallas to take on the Cowboys. Both teams are coming off really bad losses in Week 6 and are tied atop of the NFC East. These two teams always play each other close, which makes sense for the 2-point spread that it's at. Both teams will be coming into this one not at full strength. The Eagles secondary has been bruised up and should get Jalen Mills and Ronald Darby back this week though. On the flip side, Dallas is down Tyrone Smith on the offensive line and were without Randall Cobb and Amari Cooper this past week. Cooper and Cobb should be back in this one, which could lead to a better offensive output from Dallas. Last year, the total points in the game was 47 in Game 1 and 52 in Game 2, so of course the over-under right now is set at 49. With the way these two teams play each other, expect some points to be scored. Take the over in this one. On Monday night, the New England Patriots will be heading to MetLife to take on the New York Jets. The Jets looked like a much different team with Sam Darnold under center. After taking it to Dallas, the matchup with New England and their defense seems a little bit more realistic. As for the Patriots, they have struggled the last couple of weeks in the first half to get things going, but have put up a lot of points in the second half of games. The only team they struggled to get going offensively against was the Bills, and although the Jets' defense isn't as good as the Bills, it still has the capability to keep the Patriots uncomfortable. With CJ Mosley set to return this week, this furthers that point even more. Lastly, Adam Gase in his time with Miami has had some success in home games with New England, mustering out 3 wins. Right now, the spread is set at -10 for the Patriots. The best bet here is for the Jets to cover that spread. This was Football Game Plan's Best Bets. I'm Alex Marinoni.
We have reached the midway point in the college football season, and there's no better time to unveil our midseason top 25 for the FBS, and we'll start with a few teams that just missed the cut. The Washington Huskies and Iowa State Cyclones are still very much in the mix for the Pac-12 and Big 12 conference races, respectively. Memphis was ranked 23rd last week in the AP poll before taking a loss this past weekend to the Temple Owls. And keep an eye on the Mountain West Conference, as San Diego State is one of 3 teams that no one around the country wants to face. Louisiana Tech's only loss this season was against the Texas Longhorns, but since that game, the Bulldogs' defense has tightened up and they're continuing to get great play from senior quarterback Jamar Smith. Now here's a look at our rankings for teams 19 through 25, and the Wake Forest defense didn't bother to show up against the Louisville Cardinals, which subsequently got the Demon Deacons their first loss of the season. Michigan is a very good defensive football team, but I can't trust their offense week to week. The Tulane Green Wave's only defeat came at the hands of the Auburn Tigers. This offense, led by quarterback Justin McMillan, is one of the most dynamic in the country. The Green Wave looks to make a run at the AAC title. Moving on to teams 12 through 18, and you see the Minnesota Golden Gophers sitting there at number 17, undefeated on the season, rowing the boat really nicely in the land of 1,000 lakes. I think both Texas and Auburn are the same team. Both have really good defenses and quarterbacks that are slowly getting better as the season rolls on. The other undefeated team on this list are the SMU Mustangs, who are enjoying their best season since 1986. Wide receiver James Proche is one of the top playmakers in the country, and don't undersell what the Mustangs are doing defensively. It's a big reason why they are still undefeated. Moving on to 5 through 11, and Boise State's defense is a huge asset to their being undefeated right now, as well as Penn State and Oklahoma, who has quietly gotten better on that side of the ball. But Wisconsin has everything that you want to make a deep run in the college football playoff. Great running game, outstanding defense, strong special teams, and a quarterback that's efficient. You look at the top 4 teams in the country as of right now, in my opinion: Clemson, LSU, Alabama, and Ohio State. But this LSU team has the look of a team that can make a deep run in the playoffs. The quarterback play is fantastic, best it's been in quite some time, and they're great everywhere else on this roster. And we'll take our final commercial break and be back with more Football Game Plan's Power Rankings on the Game Plus Network.
Man, it's that old thing, perseverance, consistency, hard work. My goal is to put the same work into, my businesses, my family that I put into football, and I've been running with that mantra since I got married back in '97, that if I'm going to have a successful marriage, I got to, the same hard work and same consistency and discipline I had on the football field, I got to put in my marriage and with my kids and with my businesses and all that. So it teaches you a lot, man. How to deal with your fellow man and not look at his color, but look at what he can do for the overall good of what you're trying to accomplish. So sports to me in general is just an incredible deal when you talk about football specifically because of the closeness of guys. I just believe it's an amazing sport.
Football Game Plan is brought to you in part by Financial Coaching LLC, investment, retirement, security. Stewardship Credit, financial growth is in your hands. Stewardshipcredit.com. Adrienne Marie Photo, photographer, writer, management. AdrienneMariePhotography.com. Lock Multimedia.
Troy Anthony here, bringing you your Football Game Plan, NFL Week 7 Best Bets. In our first matchup, we have the Los Angeles Rams heading to take on the Atlanta Falcons. Now, both of these teams' play has been suspect at times. We've had the Los Angeles Rams get blown out by a few teams they probably should have beaten. And we've had the Atlanta Falcons put up tons of yards, but still end up losing. I don't know if Atlanta Falcons will be able to keep up with the Rams in this one. So I have to take the Rams on the money line here at -175. We have the Green Bay Packers hosting the Oakland Raiders at Lambeau, the 3-2 Oakland Raiders. The Raiders look like a completely different team from last year, and the Green Bay Packers offense can be explosive at times. Their defense is only getting better and better. I have to take the Packers on the money line here though. I don't know if Oakland can defeat them at home. Packers -275. We have the battle of the AFC South, as Houston heads to Indianapolis to take over the Colts. Now, both of these teams defeated the juggernaut in the Kansas City Chiefs in back-to-back weeks. Houston's offense can be explosive, and Indy was written off after Andrew Luck announced his retirement, but Jacoby Brissett has balled out and earned them some victories. I have to go with Houston to take the victory in this one at +102. The 49ers head to take on the Washington Redskins. You have the undefeated 49ers and the Redskins, who just got their first victory against the Dolphins this past week. That 49ers defense is going off so far this season. And Washington, they're suspect, period. I have to take the 49ers -480 in this one. Now that's a big minus money line. You might want to parlay them with something else. The Jacksonville Jaguars head to take on the Cincinnati Bengals. The Minshew mania might have died down a little bit after this loss this past weekend. Andy Dalton, the Bengals, I don't think they get it done this week. I have to take Jacksonville at -65 in this one. The New York Giants will be hosting the Arizona Cardinals. Now, Danny Dimes threw a couple of interceptions last week against New England. Kyler Murray balled out, throwing for 3 touchdowns. In this one, the Giants should have part of their depleted offense back. Sterling Shepard, Evan Ingram, and Saquon Barkley all missed last week. Should receive 2 or 3 of them back this week. Arizona also should be getting back Patrick Peterson off of suspension. But I'm going to go with New York at home, -162. For your NFL Week 7 Football Game Plan Best Bets, I'm Troy Anthony.
Be sure to order your copy of the Go-Go Offense by Coach Brennan Marion on footballgameplan.com/GoGoOffense. Coach Marion goes through the ins and outs of his explosive offense, one that's tearing up the college football field and putting a lot of points on the scoreboard. Again, you can order your copy at footballgameplan.com/GoGoOffense. Welcome back to Football Game Plan's Power Rankings. I'm Emory Hunt, the czar of the playbook, and sticking with the theme of midseason report card on college football, let's rank the top candidates for the Heisman Trophy at this juncture of the season. Tua Tagovailoa of Alabama lands at number 6 on our midseason Heisman list. The video game numbers that he's putting up is ridiculous so far this season. In 6 games, he has 27 passing touchdowns to only 1 interception. Just complete nuts. 5th, I went with wide receiver CeeDee Lamb of Oklahoma. The junior wideout has 10 touchdown receptions and averages 100 yards a game. And it's not just a production that has him on his list, is that he does it in spectacular fashion. Wisconsin's running back Jonathan Taylor is the best back in the country in my opinion and seems to show up each and every week for the Badgers. Taylor has already gone over 800 yards rushing and has 14 touchdowns, averaging 6.4 yards a carry. 3rd on this list is Ohio State's quarterback Justin Fields. Very impressive start to his Buckeye career, completing 69% of his passes with 18 passing touchdowns to only 1 interception, with an additional 8 rushing touchdowns to his credit as well. He has Buckeye Nation buzzing. Now, the Jalen Hurts story has been one of the more remarkable ones to follow this college football season, as the senior signal caller leads his team in both passing and rushing numbers and has them primed for a playoff run, a deep playoff run at that. But no quarterback has his fan base buzzing more than Joe Burrow down at LSU. What he's done for their passing game has turned them from a good team to a national title contender. Burrow is completing 79% of his passes and has 25 touchdowns to only 3 interceptions, averaging 11.6 yards an attempt. He's just flat out balling for the Bayou Bengals. So that's it for this week's episode of Football Game Plan's Power Rankings. I'm Emory Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Be sure to follow me on all of my social media accounts, and don't forget to keep it locked here on the Game Plus Network, as tomorrow and Friday we'll have our NFL All 32 show and our College Football Tailgate show, both at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Check your cable provider for channel listings. Also, be sure to subscribe to the Football Game Plan Network, located at youtube.com/footballgameplan, and on iTunes to Football Game Plan Podcast, and leave us a 5-star rating.